Folks, this is Brother Peter with tidbits from the Word. So glad to be with you today. We're going to look at a very controversial chapter in the Bible today. Chapter 31 of the book of Proverbs, written by a king's mother. And the words of King Lemuel's mother. And she wrote these words to the king. The words of King Lemuel, the utterance which his mother taught him. Now she taught him, he told a scribe, and a scribe pinned it down, and you and I have it. And this is a graceful story of something that we do not find in today's world very often. And it says, "What, my son?" Question. What, my son? And what, my son of my womb? This is her son, and he's the son of her womb. She birthed him. And what, son of my vows? Now she's saying, look, you are my son by my womb, I birthed you, and now you are of my vows. I vowed you unto God. I vowed you, and you are to keep that which the vows that I have taught you. Do not, she said, give your strength to woman, nor your ways to that which destroyeth kings. And we can read as we study, if we want to study that verse 3, she's telling him, whatever you do, don't fall into the foreign women, into going after foreign women. He was a king. He could have as many women as he wanted. He could have as many women as he wanted. He could have as many wives as he wanted, but that was not wise. And his mother's saying to him, you have the liberty as a king to have the women here and to have foreign women. But she's telling him in verse 3, do not. The things that destroy kings is foreign women. They bring their gods with them, and they worship their gods, and then the king ends up worshiping their gods or setting them up a place to worship their gods, and he brings a reproach on himself from his own God, the God of heaven. It is not for kings, O Lemuel. It is not for kings to drink wine, nor for princes intoxicating drink. She's saying, you're a king, man. You're smarter than that. You're wiser than that. Wine is a mocker, and strong drink is raging. And you are not wise that partaketh of it. She knows that if he drinks wine and intoxicating drink, that he would be foolish in his throne. He would act foolish. He would say foolish things. People could coax him into problems if he drank wine and lost his mind for that period of minutes or moments of time. Lest they drink and forget the law and pervert the justice of all of the afflicted. Give strong drink to him who is perishing, and wine to those who are of bitter heart. Now, this was used as a medicine. She's saying, use this strong drinking wine, if you care to, as a medicine for those who have a serious problem. They're dying, and they're in pain, and they're dying. Now, you and I today think nothing of sending our loved ones out to the hospice, and they shoot them with Novocaine, and they lay there with Novocaine and perish and die. Well, in that day, they didn't have Novocaine, so they didn't shoot them with Novocaine. They gave them wine. And that wine was to keep them out of such misery while their body was dying. Let him drink and forget his poverty. And remember his mercy no more. Misery, no more. So this man is in the poverty of life. His life is leaving him, and he's in total poverty of life, and he's dying. And she said, open your mouth and remember his misery no more. So give him that wine, let him drink it, and he won't remember his misery anymore. And then we have verse 8. Open your mouth for the speechless. In the case of all who are appointed to die, open your mouth. Judge righteously and plead the cause of the poor and needy. If there was ever a time when we need righteous Christian people pleading the cause of the poor and needy to salvation, not to the welfare department, not to another program of feeding them, the hungry, but to the Savior. Bring them to the Savior. I'm of a firm belief, and of 40 years of being saved, 40-something years, every man, a woman, boy, or girl I ever saw got saved, ended up, and they really meant it, ended up working, ended up viable people, supporting themselves and the country. Not living off of welfare, but supporting themselves. Now we go on to a story about a virtuous woman. What a word. The word virtuous. What a word. I'm here to tell you, this poem of the woman is a true and factual story. Was probably his mother. His mother was probably the Proverbs 31 woman. And there can be others like her, even in today's life. It's a beautiful description and an excellent description of a pure and beautiful wife and woman and mother. And it's a spiritual and practical plus moral virtues. It was spiritual, it was practical, and it was morally correct. This woman is morally correct. Something you find very little of today. I can tell you right now, I really believe that you can watch some TV programs that cause you to be immoral in your mind. You have an immorality in your life if you're able to watch some programs. If I ever have a TV program on and just one cuss word comes out of that TV, that station's turned instantly. Instantly. I'll not watch it again. And that's the way it needs to be. And we're seeing the spiritual character in this woman and the moral character of this woman. And the scene here is she's in a home. She's not out on the street. And the scene in here is what she does in that home. How she applies her life to her family. All the way through all of her born days, all of her married days, she's keeping things going. I married one of them women. I got one. I got me one of those women. And I can prove that. All right. Now, let's go to it. Who can find a virtuous wife? For her worth is far above rubies. The heart of her husband safely trusts in her. Do you know the first 20 years we were married, we had no telephones? I went to work 30 miles that way and she went to work 30 miles that way. And we didn't see each other for the whole day. Or we might not even see each other because of the kind of work I did way up into the midnight. But there never was any question with each other about where you been. There was never any doubt where you been. This is why I encourage people to not have premarital sex. To not have anything premarital. Because it's already taken you off the beaten trail that you're supposed to be on. I'm sure that if you're a man today, you would like to not marry a second-hand woman if you could find one that wasn't second-hand. And if you're a woman, I'm sure that you'd like to marry a man that's not second-hand if you could find one that's not second-hand. And you together, when you culminate and get married and you become one, you are truly one. Truly one. Who can find this woman? So he will have no lack of gain. She does him good and not evil. All, A-L-L, the days of her life. All the days of her life. All the days of her life. Wow. She seeks woolen flax and willingly works with her hands. She is like the merchant ship. She brings her food from afar. She also rises while it is yet night and provides food for her household and a portion for her maidens. Now we got to remember, this was written over in Israel, and their customs over there were a little different than ours. But there's no lack here of understanding that's the same as here in the United States it was over there. That the woman is going to provide the food for her husband. I get up in the morning, I got 2 eggs, and if I want bacon, I got 2 eggs and bacon and orange juice, coffee sitting there. She might say to me in the morning when I roll my feet out of bed, would you like cereal or eggs this morning, hon? And whichever I say, that's what I get. And 50 years of that. And that's the way it should be. She is like the merchant ship that brings the food from afar. She also rises while it is yet night and provides food for her household and a portion for her maidens. This is the woman who doesn't just take care of her husband, she takes care of everybody around the house. She considers a field and buys it. From her profit, she plants a vineyard. Listen to this. She's not lazy. While the husband's off working, she's working too. She's not only cooking the food, getting the meals, and cleaning the house, but she's weaving blankets. She's knitting things. She's making things to sell. And she takes that money, not his money, money she made, and buys a field. After she gets the field, what does she do? She plants a vineyard. And she brings that money home to the husband. And she considers the field and buys it. And her profit, she plants a vineyard. She girds herself with strength and strengthens her arms. She perceives that her merchandise is good and her lamp does not go out by night. Man, here's a woman that has worked all day. She's hoed. She's stuck vines in the ground. She has pruned in the vineyard. She has sweated and worked. She also has prepared the meals for her husband and those in the house. And when she gets home, she doesn't let her light go out. She sits there in the rocking chair and weaves and knits that shuttle back and forth. It makes another one of those blankets or something. Or it does something that is profitable for the house. She stretches out her hands to the distaff, and her hand holds the spindle. She extends her hands to the poor, yea, she reaches out her hands to the needy. Here she has burned some midnight oil, and she has took the spinning wheel and the distaff. She has run it back and forth, and she has made a blanket. At much cost, if you please. Today is much cost. My wife knits a blanket every week. It's much cost to knit a blanket. And then she finds somebody poor and gives them the blanket. And this is a woman that already has a life slap full of doing, and she's doing more. Do you know what she's doing? She's being happy. She's satisfying her longing to reach the need of the needy and her family too. And that's what we need today. We need that today. Hey, she's not afraid of snow for her household. For all her household is clothed with scarlet. She spent the summer knitting scarlet clothes for her household, that they would be warm. Snow won't bother them. Zero weather's not going to bother them. Cold weather's not going to bother them. They go out dressed because she knitted the things that they needed. After she extended her hand to the poor, she reaches out her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of the snow for her household. For all her household is clothed in scarlet. She makes tapestry for herself. Her clothing is fine linen and purple. Wow. In between all of this she's doing, she has this little bag with some tapestry in it. And she spent 10 minutes doing a little tapestry for herself. Why? So she can look beautiful when she goes out with her husband. So they can look like they're the wealthiest people in town, and they may not be. Because she's fixed herself up and she's put some tapestry on. And for her husband, she put that tapestry on to look nice. And now, listen to this. She makes tapestry for herself. Her clothing is fine linen and purple. Her husband is known in the gates. When he sits among the elders of the land, she makes linen garments and sells them. Here's a woman that's already getting up before daylight, cooking the meals, preparing the house, buying a piece of land, knitting blankets, knitting tapestry, doing everything that a woman has to do and more, and also selling some garments in the gate. And her husband is known in the gate and supplies sashes for the merchants. Strength and honor are her clothing. She is a strong woman with great honor. And why is her husband, I always look at this, why is her husband honored and so honored sitting in the gates? You know why? He has such a wife. He has such a wife, she shines forth through him. And he has this wife that he actually can brag on. Strength and honor are her clothing. She shall rejoice in time to come. She opens her mouth with wisdom. Woo! She opens her mouth with wisdom. Ladies, I don't know how many ladies are going to be watching this, but ladies, open your mouth with wisdom. Open your mouth with wisdom. And on her tongue is the law of kindness. She watches over the way of her household. She does not eat the bread of idleness. Man, she don't get up every morning. Where can I go shopping today? I wonder what I don't know what I'm going to do today. I'm going to lay around, I guess. I ain't got no idea what I'm going to do today. And your husband comes dragging in after he's worked all day. He comes in and you say, I'm so wore out of doing nothing, it's pathetic. Oh my goodness. Idleness, ladies, is a killer. Listen to this. her children rise up and call her blessed. Her husband also praises, and he praises her. Many daughters have done well, but you excel them all. Charm is deceitful and beauty is passing, but a woman who fears the Lord, she shall be praised. Give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her own works praise her in the gate. Man, can you believe this? My time is about come and gone already, and I got to go. But this is one wonderful thing. A woman who fears the Lord. A charming woman. A woman with a beauty that's beyond looks. She excels all of the other women in her area. She rises up and she's called blessed. She doesn't eat the bread of idleness. She opens her mouth with a law of kindness. She has strength and honor. She makes and sells things. She knows, she's known in the gate, she's known by all the people as the woman that's a giver. Yet the woman who also helps her husband make finances. She doesn't have to fear the snow because she's dressed her family warm. She doesn't have to, at night, she works that distaff and that spindle weaving those blankets that she sells down there in the gate. And she considered that field and she bought it. She rises while is she at night. Ain't got daylight yet. I could say something right here. And I'm not up at time in the morning. My wife's up at 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock, she's out of bed, she's up, she's hit the floor, and she's cooking and doing something. Like the merchant ships. She's like a merchant ship that doesn't quit. It takes off from its port, and it grinds until it gets to its end. It doesn't quit. A merchant ship doesn't quit. It goes. Right now, they leave China. And they grind and grind and grind until they pull into port in Tampa, Florida, or Miami or somewhere. And that's what this lady's like. She's just grinding on. She ain't stopping for nothing. She's going to hit a lick on every hour, every minute, every part of the day. And one of the best things you can see out of the whole thing here, everybody safely trusts in her, especially her husband. Everybody safely trusts in this woman. She'll do no wrong. She wouldn't lie. She wouldn't steal. She wouldn't do anything. She wouldn't do anything out of the way. She wouldn't do anything immoral. She wouldn't do anything against the law of the Lord. This is good. And well, this king's mama says for him to get this kind of woman. Do you know what he's going to have to do? He's going to have to do like I did. I looked at her mother, and her mother worked. They left the house at 2:30 in the morning. They got back at 2:30 and 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And they had bushels of crabs. They had clams. They had lobsters. They had stuff they had to pick. They had to sit down, boil those crabs, pick the meat out of those crabs, put them in jars, pedal them, come back in, go to bed, get back up in the morning 2:30, and take back off again. Hey, they were working. My wife had the workingest mother. I actually told her before I married her, I said, I tell you what, girl, I'm going to propose to you. But if you don't marry me, and I was just a kid then, if you don't marry me, I'm going to ask your mama to marry me, leave your dad and marry me. I said, this kind of woman I want. Healthy woman. Strong woman. Did the work. Wow. Fell down in the boat, broke 2 ribs. 3 or 4 days later, she's out there pulling lobster traps. Strong woman. A woman that wouldn't give up. Wouldn't give up. And she knitted when they got in, when she wasn't picking crabs and doing something. She was knitting warps to go in the lobster traps. A real trick. Most people couldn't do it. If they tried, they could practice for years and never knit one. They're round. You knit them round. And they're bigger at the top and bigger at the bottom. Amazing thing with a brass ring in it. An amazing thing to see. And here, not just anybody could knit one, but everybody had to furnish their own for every trap. Took a walk. And so, this was the thing. She excelled in everything she did to the utmost part of wisdom that could be put on her for what she was doing. And I love that verse 27 said, she would not eat the bread of idleness. She would not be idle. And that is something right there. A woman that won't be idle. This day and age, we have so much going on that says do nothing. Go play, have fun, spend what money you got, enjoy it. But you want to know what? There's no satisfaction in that. When you come home, you still got to go do again to try to be satisfied. It's like a person that smokes. They say, well, this cigarette's going to satisfy me. How come in 10 minutes they're lighting another one? Well, this one's going to satisfy me. How come in 10 minutes they're lighting another one? Well, this one's going to satisfy me. In 10 minutes they're lighting another one. Well, this is going to satisfy me. And then here's a guy that pops a bud. Or pops a beer. And he swells it down. This is going to satisfy me. Hey, bartender, give me another one. He swells it down. This is going to satisfy me. Hey, bartender, give me another one. This is going to satisfy me. Hey, bartender, give me another one. This is going to satisfy me. There's not enough beer in the world to satisfy a man. So he ends up getting dead drunk, getting picked up by the police, ended up in jail, messing his whole marriage, his whole family out, everything out, because he's hunting satisfaction in a can of beer. There is no satisfaction in a can of beer. Hey, I'm 30 years old. I was 30 years old. I'm 72 now. When I was 30, I was a full-fledged alcoholic. I thought that before I got home at night, beer would satisfy me. It got me home drunk every night. It got me home passed out every night. It got me arrested. It got me in all kinds of trouble because I thought I could find satisfaction in the bottle. I thought I could find it in the cigarette, only to find out. When I got saved, I went up to the place where I had my beer bill, cigarette bill. This was in 1972. I owed $1,300 on my beer bill. $1,300 on my beer bill. I went down to a finance company. I borrowed $1,300. Took it over there and paid that man off. And never drank a beer since. And haven't missed it. And have prospered and gone forward. And all I did at 3 o'clock in the morning, after I wrecked my car being drunk, I looked up to heaven and said, God, I'm a sinner. Forgive me of my sin. Come in my heart and save my soul. And Jesus did. He came in my heart and he saved my soul. He delivered me from drinking, smoking, swearing, cussing, and all the things that I did that night. Justified, just as if I had never sinned. He said, grace and my mercy is sufficient for you, Peter. I'm going to wipe it all away, put it behind you. You'll never face it. Nothing you've ever done in your life will you ever face again. It's behind you now. From today forward, you need to keep your days straight and repent when you do something. Well, my time's come and gone. I must go now. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.